Today on the Hangout, we talk Clippers. Can Chris Paul stave off elimination and win 2 straight to keep hope alive in LA? Will the real Darren Williams please stand up if the Nets are to get past the Hawks? And we continue to round up your Toronto Raptors. Masai spoke to the media. What's next for Dwane Casey? We discuss our opinions now. Basketball fans, welcome into the half hour of power that is the Hangout. I am Akil Augustine coming to you from the ACC. Time to kick it and talk NBA playoffs with Dan Gladman, the producer of the Raptors broadcast. But we can't even say that anymore because there are no more broadcasts. What are you doing with your summer?
I'm hanging out on this set with you and not much else to do.
All right, one of our favorite up-and-coming broadcasters. You know her and love her off of the YouTube videos from the Brampton A's. Meg McPeak, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
And you know this man from keeping you up to date with everything that's happening in the great city of Toronto. This is one of our favorite journalists, Nathan Downer of CP24. Shouts out to Nathan for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You put me in a tough spot. You're like, dude, how come I haven't been on the show yet? So you know what?
You've been on my show, so it's only fitting, right?
It's only right. It's only right. Let's jump into it now, of course. It's Torontonians, Toronto Raptor fans. We've got you guys here. Let's do it. The case for and against Coach Casey. Masai Ujiri came out and did his end-of-season availability. Said he's going to take the next few weeks to decide on the future of the coach, to look at what they've done, haven't done. Dwane, sorry, we'll start with you, though. Your opinion on what's next for Coach Casey. Is he here next year or not?
You know, it's a tough one because Raptor fans know that in the past it's been pretty easy. We kind of knew Brendan Malone was time to go,
yes.
Butch Carter was time to go, Darrell Walker was time to go. It was so clear and obvious. With this one, it's a tough one, and I think Masai has to really think about the future of this organization. On the one hand, he makes a strong case. We all know he won the Atlantic. We all know
Twice.
they set a record for most wins.
Yep.
They got back to the playoffs. He developed some of their younger players. Like
So he's got some notches on his belt.
Lowry's now an all-star. He wasn't an all-star before he got here. DeRozan has developed and gotten better. So we've seen a lot of progress, but the playoffs was a failure. So it's going to be tough. If I was going to give you a guess, because we don't know, I would think he's going to keep him, maybe a shorter deal, a shorter leash, see how they do, and if they're not clicking, then it could be a quick dismissal mid-season. That's a guess.
Meg McPeak?
I would actually agree with Nathan. I think it might be similar to when we saw the departure of Sam Mitchell. Yep. He'll keep him he'll bring him back for next season, and like Nathan said, he'll keep a leash on him, and depending how that season starts out with 2015, 2016, and what moves they make for player personnel in the offseason, because I don't think this season is solely on Dwane Casey. I think it's also on the player personnel. I just don't think that this team is what they need to go further in the postseason. We thought it was from last year. We thought the momentum was going to come through, and it clearly didn't. So I don't think it's just on Dwane Casey. So I think he does come back, but he's going to be looked at very, very closely.
So the future of Dwane Casey yet to be determined, Dan Gladman, but we do know that this team does have some money available. They got some assets that are tradable, some guys that they have options on. So first and foremost, what is the move that they make? Is there a trade that you want to see happen, or is there what is the specific direction this team needs to make more further internal growth?
Well, I think the first thing you're looking at is the draft, and they have the 20th pick in this year's draft, and hopefully there's a good player, and they've done some really good advanced scouting, and they can find something there. There are going to be some free agents that go away, and they're going to have to decide, you know, do you want to keep Lou Williams? Do you want to keep Amir Johnson?
So you just touched on that. Let's do it now. We wanted to jump into these to individual players who they have options on.
Right.
We'll start with Amir Johnson first. To keep or to let go, Dan?
Whoa, now that is some hot seat action right there. I think with Amir, it's going to depend a lot on his expectations.
The price point.
The price point, you know, he was here kind of on a bargain these last few years, and he probably is going to want a raise. He had, I think, career-high numbers, not this past year, but the season before. He's been a starter on a team that won the division champion for 2 years. Now, that's from his perspective. From the management perspective, I think there's arguments to bring him back at a lower contract, or let him go ahead and test the free agent waters. So if you're asking me, I think that's even a tougher choice than what you were saying about the coach.
I'm chuckling because these are tough questions. Normally I ask tough questions. You're asking the tough questions. With Amir, how much money does he want? And also, don't forget the importance of what he does in the community.
That's a huge part of the game.
That goes high as far as getting out there and saying
an
hello.
Yeah, but at the end of the season, when the Raptors were swept in the playoffs, nobody was sitting there saying, yeah, but Amir, took everybody out to dinner.
When they have this conversation, you get points for that.
This is around the horn. We just gave you 10 points for that point. Great point right there. Lou Williams, tough question for you. To keep or to let go of the 6th man of the year?
Gosh. Again, a tough one. I remember when they played Houston.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, don't talk to James Harden. Because if he does, and Harden says, remember what I did?
Yeah.
I was like on the bench in OKC. I was the 6th man. I left. People thought I shouldn't leave. Things worked out for James Harden. He could win an MVP. So he might think, I'm going to do the same thing that Harden did. There's greener pastures elsewhere. As much as he says he doesn't mind coming off the bench, if other teams are offering him a starting position where he can do more for his own career, I wouldn't be surprised if he said, I'm gone. So I wouldn't shock me one bit if Lou bye-bye.
I don't think Lou Williams at this point is in it to be a starter. I do think he will be looking for a big paycheck. I think that's,
and a bigger role.
That's going to be the question.
If somebody comes to him and says, you can do more on our team, people want to feel like they're needed and wanted.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes to him and says, we need you more than the Raptors do, and here's why, it's going to be tough for him to say, I'd rather come off the bench.
Let's talk free agency quickly. The Toronto Raptors have a lot of money. I was going through the list. There's like 40 legitimate NBA players, contributing players available. Big names out there like Gasol, like the Aldridges you talk about. Guys like Tobias Harris, Meg McPeak. Who is the guy that intrigues you for the Toronto Raptors?
I wouldn't say that there's one specifically, but I think the person or the personnel they need to go for is a veteran who has playoff experience.
Like a David West type player.
Yeah, simply because when you look at last season and this season, that's what they were missing, was a veteran leader who down the stretch could take the ball, not just take the ball in their hands, but could rally the guys and get them on the same page, a locker room type guy, because I think in the end, that's what they are missing. If they kept this, like, let's say they keep this core together, they need a piece that's missing, and that's the piece that's missing with this team.
I love intriguing, because I've never seen a Bleacher Report most intriguing players, but I would say DeAndre Jordan.
Wow. Well, he said he wants to go to Dallas.
Intriguing because could he fit here? Could he play, let's say, power forward?
No, I don't think he can.
But he's intriguing to me. And could he, let's say, even blow up and improve and play better, have a bigger role here?
Here's my guy.
So he's, to me, the most intriguing of maybe this group that's out there.
Dan, you buying Tobias Harris at the small forward?
Yeah, you mentioned it. I hadn't thought of it, and I actually really like the Tobias Harris. Also because it's realistic.
Yes.
Marc Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge, they're going to have suitors from across the league. Now, the thing with the Tobias Harris is he really isn't that proven, and you might have to overspend to bring in a free agent, and we've seen teams do that in the past, and it's not always successful.
The NBA, you're always going to overspend.
Well, I love the idea of Tobias Harris.
Okay,
great call.
We got to go to break. You talk about intriguing players and interesting players. Darren Williams. Very intriguing and interesting. Somewhat of an enigma. One night he can give you 35. The next night he could give you 5. I mean, that's for real. Hangout. We'll be back.